everybody to the DMDU continuing our webinar series where we're getting to meet the speakers, which is really important for everybody to understand the value that they're going to get out of being a part of our events. So first of all, I'd like to welcome today to our webinar Mr. Russ Henneberry. Russ, welcome.
Hey! I've been looking forward to this all day.
Hang on, now we've got music coming from somewhere. Oh.
Music?
Hang on, something's happened. Have you got the, somehow or other, DMDU open? There you go, the website just opened up all on its own and Ryan Dice just had to jump in and say something. It's always got to be about him. So I can see we've got a few more people starting to come on through, which is great. So I'll say that again because it got cut off. Russ, welcome. You're almost in Australia. You're virtually here. Fantastic to have you here. So welcome to DMDU and how are you feeling, Russ?
Yeah. No, good morning to you all. I've been up all day, of course, and I've been looking forward to this webinar all day. So I'm pumped. I'm excited to be here. And thank you, Sonia. Thank you all.
Good morning from Rose. Good morning, Rose. Great to have you on board. So, Russ, we first met, I think, back in about 2014 at a traffic and conversion summit, and I've told the story a million times about how I rocked up to this event thinking there'd be a few hundred people there, and there was a few thousand people, and then there was all these crazy people talking about content and value in advance, and it's a passion that you and I share about how important it is to create this relationship with your potential customers, the whole going from can I buy you a drink to getting married, not all in one step, but across the time. So, Russ, where did your passion for content come from?
It came out of necessity because, I got laid off from a job like back in 2009, mm-hmm. and I was in the SEO world. And so I was managing about 20 SEO developers at a big company here in the US. Mm-hmm. And that company bought another SEO company, and basically we all got the axe. And I came out and I was like, okay, like I could either go back into the corporate world or I could make a go of this myself. And at that point I started to figure out SEO, just search engine optimization by itself, was not, because that's what I was doing all the way up into that time. From about 2004 to 2009, I was pure search. I was one of those guys. I knew all the tricks, right? Yeah. I knew how to get somebody onto a page and use all the loopholes that were available to me to do it. But in 2009, when I got laid off and I came out and I said, okay, like, there's got to be, something more to this than just trickery and loopholes. So I started to figure out that really what this was about creating superior experiences, superior products, superior websites, superior content, and that SEO was a subset or something underneath that, as is social media. So I started to realize, wow, content really is what makes up the web. It's one of the basic building blocks of the web. It's something that we interact with every day, whether it's video or images or audio or text or whatever it is. We're always interacting with content. And it was around that time when Google was also starting to get a lot smarter, Yes. And I started to say to myself, like, do I want to be up against these, a bunch of guys from MIT and, math algorithm guys and all this stuff, or do I just want to play by the rules and start to create better stuff? And so I switched. I stopped calling myself an SEO. I started calling myself a content marketer. Nobody really knew what I meant when I said that back then, but it's definitely mainstream now. And content marketing is a fundamental discipline in the digital marketing landscape.
Yeah. It's just, and I had a similar journey to you. I came, my big passion for digital came when I was working in the newspaper industry, and I saw the power of regional daily newspapers and how they built community. And once I started doing digital, I wanted to apply that same thing. And I got stuck in that whole black hat, white hat, SEO, backlink thing. And I went, it just can't be this. And that was my first iteration with Digital Marketer when I heard you speak. And I think the first thing I ever saw you present was the content engine. And it just blew my mind when you talked about the fact that most businesses need 10 well-written pieces of content, and that's all they ever need. So thank you for being a part of the DMDU community. Obviously, getting you to Australia, it's been a long time since you were being in Australia. So we're so excited to be able to have you back live on a stage to help people. Russ, why do you think attending live events, both from you as a speaker, but also participants being at live events, why is it so important?
Well, I think there's two big reasons to go to events, right? So there's content, so there's the learning, right? So you're going to go there, you're going to get great content. And I promise you, like, if you come to an event put on by Sonia, put on by the folks that she surrounded herself with, the content's going to be outstanding. You're going to learn. But the second reason that people forget about, and it's not something that us as marketers can really talk about because it's so amorphous, is the networking and the meeting of other people. I cannot stress to you enough, those of you listening, like, I have never attended an event that I didn't walk away and just say, wow, that one connection. Because, tactics and strategy give us incremental gains in our businesses. Right? So we can get these incremental gains where it's like, oh, a cool little tactic's going to get me a little bit more and a little bit more. And we have to be doing those things. We have to be learning. We have to stay razor sharp. And that's the kind of stuff you've been delivering at DMDU. But connections with other humans give us exponential impact. You meet new partners. You meet people to mastermind with. You meet new customers. I mean, like, it's really incredible what happens when you put a bunch of people into a space that are all have similar goals and just network. So I like, if you're thinking about whether you should attend this event or not, the content's going to be spectacular. I'm going to go through some of the stuff I'm going to go through, but I know Molly's going to be there. Molly Pittman's going to be there. Mike Rhodes is going to be there. James Schramko is going to be there. The content's going to be spectacular. But don't forget that, don't go hide in your hotel room. Come out and rub shoulders. Rubbing elbows is what we're all there to do. And, come up and say hi to me. Come up and say hi to Sonia. Come up and say hi to all of us and meet each other. Go out, grab a drink, because that's the kind of stuff, man, I'm telling you, those are the kinds of things that give you those exponential gains in your business, when you meet the right person and it just
gels.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, I couldn't have grown my business without attending live events. I mean, that first event I attended in 2014 has started, that thing I did in 2014 is why 700 businesses will turn up to the Gold Coast in 80 days' time, is because I went to something, met some people and went, wow, I got to get these people to Australia. And I'm not an event organizer, but, I want people to share in the content. So that's great. So talk about content.
What else, Sonia, is oh, sorry. Well, what I was going to say is that I'm an introvert. And so, and you know that about me. I'm not the most gregarious person when I'm at live events and in person. I like, if I have my choice, I will stick in one little group of people that I know. But I've made it a real point in my life to, when I'm at events like that, to say, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to mingle. I'm going to meet people and stuff like that. Yeah. So I know what that's like. And I'll tell you, man, it's so powerful. You're never going to create tremendous income for yourself from behind a computer. No. You're gonna get the work done. This is where you go and you dig your ditch and you get your stuff done. But when you go to these events, man, this is when big things happen. Yeah. So
cool. So Russ, you've got a bit of a presentation for this morning that's like a snippet of what people can expect to learn from you at DMDU. You've created Modern Publisher now that is all about helping people understand the the power of using information in their marketing. So what have you got for us today? What pearls of wisdom are you going to share with us today?
Well, I thought I'd talk about lead generation today.
Fantastic.
It's such a sticking point, right? A lot of times businesses get stuck on this concept of lead generation. And if you can't generate leads, for some businesses, that's okay because they rely 100% on referrals. But, of course, the trouble with referrals is that you don't know when they're coming. They're kind of like rain. You don't know when it's going to rain, and you don't know when it's coming or where it's coming. And sometimes it's feast or famine. So creating a predictable way to put people into an email system is something that I love to talk about. And I love to talk about the content side of that. And so if you can see my screen.
Yes, I believe we can. I can see it anyway. So I'm hoping that if anybody else can just give me a thumbs up or something and let me know you Russ's screen, but it's looking like it's all doing what it should be doing anyway. I love technology. So yeah, go for it, Russ.
All right. So if you don't have any leads, here's why. And this is the first half of the reason why digitally there are no leads coming in. And this will be a little bit lost on the Australian crowd, and instead I will use
cricket. It's all about how you play cricket, Russ.
I will use cricket, and I will say to play cricket you need to have cricket equipment. Exactly. Is that called you got to have a paddle? You
got to have a bat and you got to have a ball. A bit like baseball, okay. You still got to have a bat and a ball.
Okay, right. Over here we call it baseball. It's a very similar sport. So to play baseball over here, you got to have baseball equipment. To play cricket, you got to have cricket equipment. To play rugby, you got to have rugby equipment. And to get leads, you got to have lead generation equipment. And so what are those pieces of lead generation equipment? Because if you don't have any of these three things that I'm about ready to share with you, then you aren't playing this game. Okay, it's like showing up to try to play cricket without a bat. You cannot play. And so here are the three things. The first one is you don't have a lead magnet. Okay, and that's really what the rest of this presentation is about. The short presentation is going to be about lead magnets. And so I'll go more into that. But really what this is it's a piece of content that we're going to trade with somebody in exchange for the contact information. And that sounds really, really simple. It's a simple definition, but it's actually something that I've spent a lot of time studying what works and what doesn't work to generate leads. And if you're somebody that pays attention to the math behind marketing, and you're buying traffic and you're doing some of these things like that, the lead magnet itself, the offer of what it is, and what that piece of content is really, really matters. And so I'm gonna get to that in just a second, but I want to talk about this idea of gated content. So a lot of us that are in the content marketing space, or when we sit down to put our content hats on, we think about blog posts. We think about YouTube videos, we think about podcasts. But we don't, for whatever reason, we don't translate the idea that content marketing really moves on to that next stage, which is lead generation, where we take content and we put it behind a gate.
Yes.
Right, that's why we got this picture of a gate on here, if you're wondering. So I call this, it's gated content, right? You have to put your email address in. And when you do that, we're going to send you that piece of content. So just a quick example. Here's on the left, here's a page that's asking for an email address and a first name and a last name to get this hiring guide. And then on the right is the actual lead magnet deliverable itself. And this, guys, if you're a content marketer or you're working with content marketers, this piece of content on the right is probably more important than 100 blog posts. Taking and considering what that piece is going to be and how you're going to use it to generate leads.
Yep.
Now, the second piece of equipment. So the first piece of equipment you got to have It's as fundamental as the bat or the ball is the lead magnet itself. But the second thing you got to have is the squeeze page. Okay, you got to have a squeeze page. And so a squeeze page is just a special kind of landing page that has almost no exits. All right, there's no places to exit from the page. The only thing that we're asking you to do on the page is to opt in, put your email address in there, get the lead magnet, or hit the back button and leave, right?
Yes.
Or close the browser. There's really not a lot of options on the page. Let me show you the home page. This is the home page at digitalmarketer.com. This is actually the last version of their homepage, but you can see on there, I put little numbers on there of how many different places you could go, how many directions you could go on that homepage. You could go 14 different directions, and that's just before I scroll down, right?
Yes.
There's going to be another dozen or more as I scroll down that homepage. So the homepage is not, it's like the anti-squeeze page, right? It's the opposite of the squeeze page. Here's what a squeeze page looks like. How many numbers do you see on that?
Yeah, you got exactly one.
There's one. Okay, and I can't tell you, like, if I go up here, if I make the same offer for the ultimate social media swipe file, but I make it on my homepage, or I make it on a blog page, or I make it on a product page in the sidebar, we can expect conversion rates of somewhere around 2 to 5%. Okay, so, and actually, it could be lower than that. It could be 0.5% of people that would opt in to get this lead magnet if there was all these other things to do on the page. Now, this page right here, Molly and I, as a team, her driving traffic, me creating the copy and the copy on these pages and the actual lead magnet content itself, we would convert this page at around 60%.
Wow.
Now, guys, those of you that are math majors, I'm not a math major, but I'll tell you, there's just a tremendous difference between a 60% opt-in rate and a 0.5% to 5%. I'm telling you that the lead magnet can be the single most pivotal thing that you could do for your business, is to find a good offer, a good lead magnet that converts it anywhere from 30 all the way up. I have a lead magnet running at Modern Publisher right now. It's converting at almost 70%. That's almost 7 out of 10 of people that are hitting the page are actually opting in. And what it does is just makes it really, really easy for me to continue paying for traffic, because I'm getting these leads very, very, very cheaply because so many people are opting in when they hit the page. If you send people to a page like this, where it's like, I'm just asking you to do this one thing, and you're seeing north of 30%, you're seeing 40, 50, 60. If you're seeing 70%, I mean, like, you can't see as high as 70% on a squeeze page. And the big difference here is that it's very focused. It's a focused page. Now, how do you build
Russ,
these pages?
Jamie's just asked, why is the phone number at the top? Was that strategic, or was that just in the header?
So we added the phone number at Digital Marketer because we felt like it was a trust symbol. So one of the things you want to add to really any page where you're trying to sell anything is trust, symbols of trust. So logos like, hey, here are other companies that trust us, or here's how many customers we have, or you can see down here we just have a testimonial. That testimonial is literally just from me. But the phone number is an additional sort of like, hey, we're a real business. Like, we have a phone number type thing. And, I don't know if it increased conversion or not, but it was just something we started to add to our control, our standard template. But yeah, I mean, so you've got your first two pieces of equipment. If you've got yourself a lead magnet, and now you've got yourself a squeeze page, you need one more piece of equipment. Can anybody guess what that is? Anybody guess what that is? And something that seems really obvious right now, but something that even like when I was getting started, I would have been like, well, I don't understand. I don't understand what you mean. But the third thing we have to have, the third piece of equipment we have to play this game is traffic. you have to have traffic. So you've got yourself a lead magnet, you got yourself a squeeze page. Do you have any way to get distribution? Can you get this thing out there to the masses and get it out there to people? And so the third step in this thing is traffic. And I think about traffic, the way I think about traffic is I think about it like a gas pedal on in a race car, where if I'm feeling good about my numbers, like I am with that one lead magnet I was talking about at Modern Publisher, where I've got 70%, I'm pressing the gas hard, right? And what I mean by that is I'm adding budget to my paid traffic on that lead magnet. And I'm looking for that. Probably what will happen is as I accelerate on that, what will happen is my conversion rate will come down and it'll start to hit somewhere around 50 to 50%. And that'll be okay with me. I love those numbers. And my volume will just be growing. Right now I'm adding about 75 to 100 new email addresses through that lead magnet. And what I'm looking to do is scale that and keep watching what happens to that number. And so all I'm going to do is just keep adding budget, all the stuff that Molly talks about.
Yes.
So here's the thing. So a lot of you might be on here thinking, or anybody's watching this might say, well, I've got all those things. I've got the bat and the ball and the bases and all the things I need to play cricket. Where I've got a lead magnet, I've got a squeeze page, and I've got some traffic running to it. It still ain't working, Russ. And so let's go on to part two, which is the second reason why this may not be working for you right now. And so you're saying to me Russ, dude, I got the lead magnet, I got the squeeze page, and I got the traffic. You still aren't getting leads. I have to warn you right now. This is the part of the show where I tell you that your baby is ugly. Okay. So, and I do all of this with love.
So I was about to say it with love, Russ. Say it with love.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, if you've got those three things, something's ugly. Okay. Something's ugly. And I'll tell you, it's one of these things. So it's one or more of these things. The first one could be the offer itself. It's usually the culprit. Right? So the offer itself, people like to say well, okay, so I'll just throw together a lead magnet. It's super simple. And I'll just throw it up on the page and I won't worry about thinking too much about what it is or whether whether anybody really wants it or any of that stuff. Wrong. Okay. Again, this piece of content could literally change the economics of your business. And you have to spend some time thinking about what it's going to be. Now, I'm going to give you 7 or actually 8 different lead magnet types in just a minute. But the offer itself, is this something that somebody wants? If it's not, I don't care how much traffic you throw at it. I don't care how great looking the squeeze page is. And I don't care that you have the lead magnet. The offer sucks and nobody wants it. No one's going to opt in. Okay. And so you're going to have, rough numbers. The second thing is the copy. And honestly, about 90% of your problem is going to be the times you have problems with a lead magnet. It's going to be one of the first two. It's either going to be the offer or the way that you're articulating that offer, the way you're describing it, the way you're talking about it. And this is why, I spend a lot of times, even today, studying copywriting, studying the power of words and the way things are described. Because, and I look at good copy and I try to figure out why it's good and why it's compelling. And so it's going to be either the thing you're trying to give me or the way that you're trying to give it to me, right? The way you're trying to describe that thing. That's going to be, 90% of the time, that's the problem. Okay. And one of those two things is ugly. Now, there are also other things, and that could be, and this is more of a Molly conversation, but it could be your targeting. Okay, now if you're trying to, despite all the rumors, you cannot sell ice cream to Eskimos You cannot sell ketchup. What do they say? I don't know. Ketchup ice cream to somebody wearing a white dress. Okay. It's your targeting has to be good. And so, if you're having trouble converting your lead magnet, check, ask yourself, do you feel like the offer is good? Do you feel like the copy is good? Go back and look at your targeting and see if you're targeting the right people in the first place, because that could be what's ugly in your system.
And Russ, with the copy, like people get confused sometimes because they make it so complicated, but often you're not actually articulating what you want people to do. Like your call to action sometimes can just be off, can't it? Like you look at that squeeze page of digital marketer, it's obvious you've got to stick that email address in if you want to achieve that outcome. But so often when people give me pages like that to have a look at, and I'm like, you're not telling people what the benefit of it is. Why would you want to do this? And second of all, the call to action is sometimes so hidden. Like that one says, grab your swipe file here. It tells you what to do. But it's interesting the number of times I look at websites and there's just no call to action. There's just no reason to do it.
Well, and the way you fix that is you use software. Like, don't try to build these squeeze pages from scratch. Instead, use something like Instapage or Lead Pages or ClickFunnels or any of the hundreds of other landing page template software that's out there that has proven templates. Like, don't try. Like, this is something I think we probably custom coded this, but probably actually not. Like, for so long when I was at DM, like we were building things in software, even though we had a 9 or 10 people on the dev team, we would still be using software. So, and it's because you can pump stuff out fast. But one more thing on the copy. I cannot stress this enough. And sometimes I get like people will just be like, whoa, like when I say this, but you have to be a thief to be a good marketer. Okay. You have to be a thief. You have to start studying other people's stuff and swiping, swipe. So keep a little swipe file. I have swipe files of many different kinds, whether it's emails or landing pages, or product pages, lead magnets. Like I screenshot stuff all the time. And, one of the ways that you can write better copy is just by reading good copy. Pay attention to good marketers and read what they're doing, watch what they're doing, and just pick up a few of the basic copywriting books and start to study this discipline, because like I said, in my opinion, about 90% of problems, not just with lead magnets, by the way, but also with products, if your product isn't selling, it may not be the product. It may be the way you're articulating it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so copy is that important. Understanding how copy works is that important. So commit yourself to studying it. So I talked about, apologized, said your babies might be ugly. Let's skip down here. So, okay.
So Jamie just asked, does the URL make a difference to the response? I'm not sure what you mean, Jamie. Do you mean the URL? Does it make a difference to the response? Jamie, can you just type a bit more information in what you mean? Like, do you mean like, is it just digitalmarketer.com or is it a redirect from an Insta page or something? Is that what you're meaning? Does URL make a difference to the response? Is it authentic or a redirect? Right. Okay. So I suppose what he's saying is, does the URL, should it say your domain name as opposed to, sometimes you use some of these templates and it's subdomain.
I mean, preferably it would. I like, when I set up lead pages or ClickFunnels or Instapage, I try to make it so that those pages are appearing on my domain.
Yes.
I think that does make a slight difference, but these are the kinds of things that make a few percentage point differences. Okay. I'm talking about like, okay, so when I had it on clickfunnels.com/whatever the lead magnet is, the conversion rate was 30%. When I moved it onto my own domain, it looked more trustworthy and authoritative. It went to 35%.
Yes.
But the offer and the copy can change something from like 10%, where you thought like, oh, this is dead. Like this can't work at 10%. It'll change it to 50%. If the offer changes or the way you're articulating up, those are the kinds of variables that scream, right? Whereas something like your domain is a variable that whispers, right? It's going to make a little difference. It's like when people say to me like, well, maybe we should try testing a different button color, or testing, maybe a different font for the headline. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that might get us a little tweak, right? It might get us a couple percentage points. It's when you change the offer, the way it's described, right? Those kinds of things that can literally change something from this doesn't work into this is crushing it, this is killing it, like hit the gas. So number 4 thing that could be ugly after targeting could be your targeting, but it could also be your design. And this is less likely, especially if you're using landing page software. So how do you avoid having a horrible design on your squeeze page? You just use software, right? Just use the software and use, and one more tip on using software is don't overly, unless you're good, right? If you're good, you know it, and you're just probably not even listening to me when I talk about design, because you're like, I'm way better at design than you are, Russ. Right? But if you're new to this, or you're not good at design like I am not good at design, don't mess around with the templates too much. Just leave them go, because I've seen people click, change the colors, move stuff around, and then I'm like, well, congratulations, you managed to make that look horrible. Right? So the real truth is most copywriters, and I'm not talking about the big boys, I'm not talking about people that are creating custom pages, and I'm not talking about, these huge sites, but even at DM, again, when I was there, we would write copy to the template. So we choose the template first, and we say, okay, these are the different copy chunks I need. Let's go write these, right? Rather than, okay, I wrote the copy, now I'm going to go build a custom page to fit that copy and those images into, right? Most, I would say 95% of people are working it that way, where they just select the template, and that template becomes kind of your business's template for a squeeze page. And then like I need a headline, I need a subheadline, I need 3 bullets, I need an image over here, and then I got my box. Right. And you start to get into the pattern of what kind of copy you need. Okay. So design can be a thing, especially, more and more, I think people are expecting more from the people that they are interacting with. And this can be anywhere from a variable that whispers to a variable that screams, and it screams when you're in markets where people need to know that you're authoritative and professional, right? If they need, if you're, for example, in finance or something like that, you need to take your design, or health, right? These are things that's like, this is a pretty high stakes stuff, and I need to make sure. And so your design is going to matter. It needs to look polished and professional and so forth.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Now okay. So that's the 4 things. All right. Let's review real quick, and then I'll go through these 8 types of lead magnets. There are 2 different categories of reasons why you're not generating leads. The first one is you came to the game, you don't have the equipment. You don't have a lead magnet, squeeze page, or traffic. One of those 3 things, or more than one of those 3 things. If you do have those 3 things, then you could have a problem with the offer, where it's like, nobody wants this thing. Or it could be the copy, right? The way you're articulating the offer. Those are usually your 2 culprits. Or it could be your targeting or your design, right? Where your page just looks terrible, or you're just targeting the wrong people, or a weak group of people. Now, when you actually go to build this lead magnet, there are 8 types of lead magnets that I love. The first one is the report. Okay, so the report is it's typically delivered as a PDF, And like in this case, it's the Hire Right Content Marketing Guide, a complete hiring kit. This thing did really, really well for us. It's just a written report. Now, I don't love these, and I'll tell you why. It's because most everything else I'm going to share with you does better than the report in terms of a conversion rate, because the value proposition that I'm going to show you in these other 7 is speed. And I love, love, love speed to results with the lead magnet. Okay, with the lead magnet piece of content, I love speed. So watch how these so this one works this way. I showed you this earlier, just to illustrate that. The white paper is the same way. And it's used a lot. I did content marketing for Salesforce.com, multi-billion-dollar company. We used a lot of white papers, and they're very similar to the free report. But let's start moving to some ones that promise speed to results, ease, speed and ease, right? These are the ones that I'm seeing that are getting north of 50% opt-in rate is something like a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Because what does a cheat sheet tell you? It's like, I'm not going to have to sit down and like read this thing. It's going to be a cheat sheet. I'll print it off. Maybe I'll pin it to the wall next to my computer, and it's going to have that speed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think we've talked about this before, that time is now the most valuable commodity that any of us have. A commitment of time is, to me, as important in most cases as a commitment to money. And then the other thing is, if I can show you you're going to save time, it's like we talked about, why come to an event? Well, come to an event for 2 days and you're going to save time, because you're going to be able to implement stuff that would take you a year to learn. So yeah, definitely agree. Cheat sheets, sharing knowledge. It's that whole idea that a lead magnet has to have an incredible amount of value in it, isn't it? It's value in advance.
Yeah, it has value, and that value is being promised with speed. I love that. So we got the cheat sheet, we got the mind map, right? That's another one. It's like, I just print this off. I got this mind map. It's done. Webinars are another one that takes time. All right. And I do love webinars as lead magnets, but they really do serve a slightly different purpose where, so for example, right now, when I run a lead magnet as a webinar, it might cost me around $8 to put somebody into a webinar. Whereas I could put the same lead into a lead magnet that's like a cheat sheet or a mind map or a template like this one here. That's number 5 for $2 a lead. Now, why would I ever want to put people onto a webinar for $8 if I could put them into a template lead magnet for $2? And the reason is because the webinar lead is better, right? They're going to come in and spend an hour with you, right? Or they're going to spend some time, or at least they're saying they're going to, right? And so that, like you just said, Sonia, that commitment of time is critical, right? When somebody gives you their time, they're becoming more indoctrinated to you. They're showing more of a commitment than if I just opted in for a little template. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the swipe file is another type of lead magnet that I love. Again, if you swipe, take this swipe file and use it. I remember Molly and I were on a webinar about lead magnets one day, and we were just critiquing lead magnets. And there was somebody that had it was in the fitness space. They were in the fitness space, and they had a lead magnet that was a free report. And the free report was like 9 different things you're doing that's, causing you to not lose weight or causing you to not be fit or whatever it was. And both Molly and I were kind of down on it. We were like, that's kind of boiled chicken, right? It's been done over and over again. And plus, you're asking somebody to print this off or read it off the computer. We don't love it. And Molly came up with this great lead magnet, and it was just a list of recipes, right? Yeah. And then she said, what if instead of the recipes, it's like, let's give them the recipes and a little printable grocery list.
Yes.
Right? So they take the grocery, it's like, take this grocery list, take it to the store and then cook these recipes and you're going to lose weight, right? Because you're going to get the right nutrition and all that stuff. And we all loved it. Everybody on the call was like, that's brilliant. And if you think about why, it's because it's got instant utility, right? It's got instant speed to results, instant ease to results. Like print this recipe guide, print these this grocery list and go use it. And so swipe files are the same way, templates. All these ones that communicate speed. A template is literally a promise that I'm going to give you something that's already working, and you just can plug and play, right? It's instant value. It's got a lot of utility. That's what's working. Tools. This is my buddy Michael King, and your friend Michael King at King LASIK. This guy's doing this in the LASIK space, and he's got a tool called what's he call this thing? The LASIK self-test is what he calls it. And so using tools is another amazing one. He's got this one called the LASIK savings calculator. He does a lot of experimenting with tools to get people to opt in for consultations to see if they're a good fit for LASIK surgery.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's 8 different things. These are the different lead magnet types to employ that I'm seeing that are working right now. So yeah, and at DMDU, I'm just going to take this up about 100 notches and really dive into all these different things. But
that's fantastic, Russ. I mean, lead magnets are something that in my team, we're always talking about what are the things that we can create that give people that, hi, nice to meet you. Can I buy you a drink? Would you mind if I catch up for dinner with you sometime? And it's that thing about building rapport. And I think that Mary's saying, is it Mary? No, James is saying, thanks, Russ. That's fantastic. The thing about lead magnets that people just don't think about is what is this little bit of value that you're going to give somebody that they're going to want a second date with you? That they want you to ring them and ask them out again. And I think that it's just this whole idea of value in advance. And I've got a client that runs a symptoms quiz as their lead magnet, and they give exceptional value because they help people really understand the health issues that they have. And it's generating these people somewhere around 5,000 new leads a month at a cost of about 10 cents each.
Wow.
And it's been doing that for 2 years. It just keeps on doing it. But the value that is given to these people when they complete the symptoms quiz means that they then convert into customers. And, you don't have to have a million of these things, do you, Russ? It's just picking the thing that makes sense. It's like Michael's one there with the LASIK. It's about just picking the thing that makes sense to your customers, and that gets back to the targeting. It all just works together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't need 100 of these. You need one good one. Like there's one that we showed along here as an example called Ultimate Social Media Swipe File. That thing generated hundreds of thousands of leads for digital marketer, hundreds of thousands. I'm not going to tell you, like I've built so many lead magnets over the years, and about half of them end up completely being useless. Like it just doesn't work. I had one, Sonia, that I was so excited about, and I spent so much time on it, and I built it all out, and then the designer went and built all these templates out and did all this stuff, and it was so cool, and it just didn't do well. And I had to walk away from it because, it just wasn't converting, and that's okay. But when you find that one, I would say that another 25%, about half of them don't work at all. About 25% of them, they do okay. And it's like, okay, we can keep running traffic to that. It's when you hit that one that you're like, oh my God, people love this.
Yes.
And you can literally and that's what I mean. When you start, if you start seeing 70% opt-in rates for something, like I want you to go, and this is something that I will do on stage at DMDU, is run through the math. Like the math behind all this. Because if you go and you just plug some simple numbers into a spreadsheet and you do the difference between 30% opt-in rate or 20% opt-in rate and 70% opt-in rate at, let's just say $1 per click, and run that math, because that is a massive difference. And it could be the difference between massive growth, where it's like, all right, hit the gas, like run,
Mm.
right? We're growing. It could be the difference between that and, complete failure, where it's like, if we keep dumping money into these ads, we're going to go out of business.
Yeah. Because it's also to understanding the AdSense of all this. Like, the bigger picture of this is, the ad that drives people to the the lead magnet, it has to make sense. The AdSense has to be the same. And then where you send these people, once you indoctrinate them, how you excite them, how you start to move maybe more to some sort of small conversion and then ultimately a core offer, thinking where these things all fit and then the path in which your customers will go. And at DMDU this year, all our content's being built around the customer value journey. So every time a presenter speaks, we're going to be talking about, are we talking about awareness? Are we talking about engage or subscribe or convert or excite? And bringing it all back so that you can understand how you build this out to be your ultimate marketing machine. I've just got a quick question from Jamie. Do you have a preferred landing page system like Instapage or Lead? Is there one you prefer over another, or they're all pretty much the same?
I use Instapage, and it does things that drive me crazy. Like I want to just, but they all have different things that you're just like, why is it?
So pick the thing and learn it. Yeah.
Pick one, and I do like Instapage a lot. I think they have a lot of great things going for them. But yeah, pick one and install it and use it. If you're using WordPress though, Instapage is pretty easy to use.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Pick one that integrates well with whatever CRM you're using or whatever web platform you're using. Well, Russ, thank you so much for your time. I really can't wait until just on 80 days' time when you will be hitting the stage at DMDU on the Gold Coast. I can't tell you what it meant to me when you said that you would make the trip. And I know that for a lot of our people, we've also got Lindsay Marta joining us as well. So you're going to have two of the best content and information product marketers in the business on the stage, maybe at the same time, who knows what we'll end up doing. But I just hope that people understand that by being at DMDU, you're going to understand how you can build a content engine that will service your business probably for years to come. And with quality teachings from somebody like Russ Henneberry, you are going to be a content guru by the end of it. Hang on, we've got one more question coming from Roz. We've just got another thank you. So yeah, lots of thank yous coming through, Russ. Lots of these people looking forward to meeting you. So thank you for your time, my friend. And I'll see you on the Gold Coast on the 23rd of August.
I can't wait. If you guys see me there, please come by and say hello. I love saying hi and seeing what you guys are working on. So thank you so much for having me on. It was an honor.
Great. Thanks, Russ.